The classic story of Noah's Ark. I guarantee that most of you here probably have heard of it, and whether you believe in it or not doesn't really matter, but you have to admit that the whole idea behind it is pretty unique and cool. Two of every animal and creature on Earth walk onto a boat while the entire Earth floods, and then they proceed to beat the crap out of each other until only one is left alive. Okay, wait, hold up, I'm getting confirmation right now that that is not what happened, but still, I'm kind of like mostly right, just minus all the beating the crap out of each other part. And I just find it so cool that that is exactly what we are going to be recreating here in WorldBox today. I genuinely have tried my best here to recreate an arc as accurate as possible, but unfortunately my knowledge of world building is about as good as my knowledge of biblical history apparently. So my arc has kind of come out to look here a little bit like a Twix bar. So yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that. But inside the arc up here at the top, we will zoom in and see two of every single creature in WorldBox. Yes, all of them. Looking down here at the animals tab, you will see that every single icon is lit up. And as you can see by this map right here, there are two of every single one of them. And more than just recreating the story of Noah's Ark, we are going to be following all of these creatures for the next 1,000 years. And don't worry, they won't just be stuck on the Ark the entire time, because I have some very interesting ideas for this video. The very first thing we need to do is actually start the flood. So we will propel the world into the Age of Tears, and then as we click unpause, we will see the oceans cascading down their lengths as they press on towards the Ark, and we will see a lot of these creatures will probably unfortunately get caught in those waves, but when the waves finally arrive, everyone will be trapped on the Ark, and I've tried my best to make sure that none of these guys die. As we can see by one of my previous videos where I try to play WorldBox without anyone dying, it's a very difficult task to do, but I have made it so Peaceful Monsters is on, so hopefully these guys won't attack each other, and their need for food is also off as well, so hopefully for the most parts these guys will be able to live in peace and harmony. But as the entire world other than the Ark is now completely flooded, we've seen that 6 creatures have now died. However, none of them are from water, and instead 3 of them are from creatures eaten. Yeah. And kind of the worst part about all of this is I have turned off animals randomly spawning in the world, so any creatures that are currently alive or will be alive in the future are only going to be descendants of the people that I spawned in at the start. But as you notice here, I already see a couple of pretty prevalent issues, such as the Gregs over here who are eating the Ark. Yeah, as you can see, their natural diet is dirt and soil and also wood, but luckily they're also hydrophobic too, so they'll be gone soon enough anyway. And as for the other creatures, I'm not quite sure how well they'll be able to get along, but yeah, as you can see here, just scrolling through it, it's actually pretty interesting to me to just see all of these random creatures skedaddling around, even though a bunch of them have already perished. The Navy SEALs over here have quickly gotten to work trying to make their own kingdom, and we can also see that some of these slime creatures over here are slowly beginning to spread the wasteland biome all across the Ark, which may not sound like a good thing, but trees will actually be able to spawn in this biome here, meaning some of these kingdoms will actually be able to expand. Nice. But for right now, most of these creatures just aren't really doing a lot. They don't have really any resources to work with. However, even in the biblical story, the rain and water lasted for an extremely long time, so that's what we're going to do here, as we are going to do our first time lapse to we are a quarter of the way done with this challenge, which will be at year 250, where we're going to see which creatures are left, and then finally drain the water so that these guys can finally begin expanding. I'll see you guys then. And here we are at year 250, or 251. I'm not gonna lie, I was watching reels. But as we look into the world here, we will see that the Ark has been divided into a bunch of different countries, which is actually pretty interesting to see here. But as we zoom in, we will see that a ton of different biomes are actually present here, just naturally on their own through these species. We can see that somehow the permafrost biome has developed, the lemon biome with the candy biome over here, and of course, like we saw earlier, a whole bunch of the pollution biome as well. And the most dominant species by far is the Navy SEALs, whose kingdom has absolutely dominated the north part of the Ark over here. And while this is all well and good, obviously, the other thing that I'm going to notice is that there are nearly 800 deaths, which is mildly unfortunate because I believe in the actual story, none of the actual creatures on the Ark died at all. So looking into these deaths, we will see that there are a decent number eaten, a lot from conflict, which is honestly pretty unsurprising, I'm not gonna lie. alive, and a whole bunch from explosions, which is mildly concerning to me. But I think that's mainly due to me having natural disaster zone, which includes meteor strikes. So with all those deaths, I want to check what creatures are still alive here. We can see that luckily a couple of all of our original races are alive, but absolutely none of the normal animal types are at all. They have been all wiped off the face of the planet. Only one still alive over here is a single crocodile. However, as we scroll right more, we will see that most of the creatures over here are still alive, like the lemon people, the blobs, the mages, and a bunch of others, including most of the sapient species. And thank God Greg is finally gone. I was getting sick of him eating the Ark here. But speaking of the Ark, since it's been about 250 years, we are going to put it out of the Age of Tears into the Age of Wonders, and we are going to begin draining this giant ocean. And now, just like that, our Ark is back on the surface mainland of the Earth once again. But of course, because it's been submerged in water for so long, there are no more biomes or anything at all. Meaning only the biomes present on the Ark will begin spreading out into this new land. But now all of these guys actually have some room to stretch their lands and expand their kingdoms even more. So everything's about to get really interesting here. And also, remember how I said the Ark kind of looked like a Twix bar at the very start? Well, yeah, now it kind of just looks like a moldy Twix bar. But even though now that there's new land and dirt, that does not mean any of the world laws are going to change for now, so still no new animals will be able to spawn into the world. Only creatures who are still alive from the start will be able to survive and live. But with that said, we still have a long way to go, and these guys need to get to work conquering new lands, so we're going to simulate another 250 years, all the way to year 500. And since by then a lot of time will have passed since the start, we will allow these guys to go back to war. I'll see you guys then. And here we are at year 500, and looking at the world now, you could probably never even tell this was supposed to be Noah's Ark in the first place. Only a couple new kingdoms formed here, most of them just expanded out from the middle, giving them all pretty interesting shapes as they all ventured outward at the same time. But if we take off the map layers here, this is what our world looks like now, and it is very interesting because if you look very closely in the middle, you can still see the outline of where the original Ark was, which is super interesting to me, along with all the biomes that have since expanded rapidly since then. And the coolest part about all of this is I did not manually spawn in a single biome. All of these biomes, like the candy biome over here, the lemon biome, the small permafrost biome, the wasteland, and even the flower biome that's present in a few areas, have all just been from the creatures in the world here. And in terms of deaths here, there's still been a decent amount, but only one more creature eaten since last time, so I believe they killed off all the weaklings, leaving only the best creatures alive. But looking back into the animals, even more creatures have finally perished here, including humans and dwarves. But surprisingly, there are a few creatures that you would expect to be dead that are still alive, such as grasshoppers, the same two from the start who have apparently just been completely fine this entire time. But despite how cool and peaceful this world has been, unfortunately to all of these guys, there are just a little too many people. Over 8,000 sapient population is kind of lagging my game, so guys, I really apologize for this, but I'm kind of gonna have to make you all try and beat the crap out of each other, as we are going to turn on diplomacy and rebellions too, along with angry villagers as well. I know this kind of goes against the whole point of the flood, because the purpose of that was kind of like to cleanse the world of sin or something like that. So unfortunately, we're bringing it right back. I mean, the whole point of the Ark in this world in the first place was pretty much pointless. But hey, the only thing that matters more than trying to stop all the evil present in the world is the frames per second that I get on my computer. So with that said, we are now going to simulate all the way to year 750 and watch what new conflict erupts in the debris of the Ark right here, and I'll see you guys then. And here we are at tier 750. And you know, maybe giving these otherwise peaceful creatures the means to destroy one another probably wasn't the best thing I could have done, as the entire world is pretty much destroyed here. We've gone from nearly 8,000 sapient creatures to just 1,400, most of them being cows, which honestly I would not expect at all. And looking at the animals and creatures section now, there's nothing left. It's literally a graveyard. Every single icon is grayed out. Occasionally you'll find a creature still alive, like the Lulliars and the Candymen, but even now most of the sapient creatures are dead too. Penguins had an entire empire last time, and they are now all dead. I think we might need to do another flood pretty soon here. However, without any maps, this is what the world currently looks like now. I like how most of the creatures that originally created and spread these biomes at the start are now dead. We can actually see where different natural disasters took place recently, like right here where there was clearly an earthquake, or like right here and over here where there were clearly meteor strikes. And you know, when I first started making this video, I thought it was gonna like fill me with hope and determination or whatever, but now looking at it, it's just kind of like depressing. Like, I mean, even looking over here at the flower and candy biome, it just doesn't look right at all. And the 10,000 deaths from conflict aren't helping either. But anyway, we have 250 years left of this hellscape, so let's just go ahead and finish it out right here, as we're gonna see what the world finally looks like and who's left alive at year 1000. And here we are at year 1000, and honestly, I'm not going to lie, our world looks more or less about the same here. I don't believe there was a single conflict during that time lapse, and looking into these biomes, all these worlds and villages look a lot more peaceful and happy, which is actually pretty good to see. So, you know, maybe this entire flood was worth it after all. I mean, I guess that is, unless you go up here and look at the nuclear wasteland. Yeah, this is pretty bad. But you know, actually, the Loliar flower people have actually made their own kingdom here and are now slowly beginning to spread the flower biome across the wasteland, which is actually pretty good to see as well. However, this flower kingdom's motto is hell in the light, which I feel like it's probably supposed to be the other way. But you know what? They're a little confused, but they got the right spirit. But looking at the last creatures still alive here, it's actually kind of hard to see. But based on the subspecies number, we can determine that there are only 20 total left. But finally, looking at some of the most interesting people on the planet, we can see that a unicorn had the most kills with 30. The most births comes from a nearly 1,000-year-old druid named Riss with 16, and they're a male. I'm not even gonna get into that, gee. But somehow, all of the saddest creatures are Lulliars. What could have possibly happened to make them this sad? Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Losing about 15 family members in the span of 30 minutes, and also having to pay your taxes. Then getting robbed. Holy crap, this person has the worst life of all time. But anyway, for a final comparison here, here's what the world looked like at the very start of this video. So peaceful, so innocent, and here's what it looks like now. But anyway, if you're still watching at this point, clearly I did something to entertain you, so I would appreciate it if you would click like and subscribe. Also join my Discord and use code Jackal in the G Fuel shop for 30% off, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.